Sometimes love is most obvious not in words, but in the smallest details. The flicker of an eye, the way a smile lingers a second too long, the subtle shift in attention when the world is watching. And for Dylan Wang, one look was all it took. It happened quietly, almost imperceptibly, yet it carried a weight that no one could ignore. Shen Yue had just announced her new role, a lead in a drama that promised to be her most challenging work yet. The news spread like wildfire across the internet, fans flooding social media with excitement, admiration, and predictions. But for Dylan Wang, it wasn't the role itself that mattered. It wasn't the accolades or the praise. It was her. He saw her announcement first, of course. A tweet, a simple post, yet with a photograph that captured her brilliance perfectly. There she was, poised, confident, radiant, Shen Yue, standing at the threshold of something new. For most, it would have been a moment of pride. Even for fans, it was a moment to celebrate. But Dylan's reaction, it was something else entirely. The way his eyes softened, the barely noticeable tremble of a smile, the involuntary tilt of his head, it said everything. He didn't need to post a single word. He didn't need to declare his feelings in interviews or press statements. Because in that instant, his eyes gave him away. It was subtle, almost imperceptible. But for those who had watched him for years, it was unmistakable. The look wasn't just admiration. It wasn't just support. It was awe, pride, something deeper, something more intimate. It was the kind of look that said, "She's mine, even if the world doesn't see it yet." And the way Dylan Wang reacted, so naturally, so instinctively, it became impossible to ignore. Shen Yue herself may have noticed. She may have caught the moment, that fleeting glance that lingered a second too long, the way his gaze seemed to trace her outline, memorizing the curve of her smile, the spark of determination in her eyes. And in that fleeting instant, there was a recognition, an understanding between them that went beyond words. That no matter where life took her, no matter the challenges, no matter the applause or the criticism, he would always be there. Fans began noticing the subtle clues. A quiet comment here, a like there. But mostly, it was in the way he carried himself whenever her new projects were mentioned. They analyzed interviews. They dissected fan interactions. They studied every public appearance. And slowly, the truth became clear. Dylan Wang's eyes had always given him away. The story of their love wasn't a loud, dramatic one. It wasn't built on extravagant gestures or declarations in the media. It was quiet, steady, profound. The kind of love that manifests in glances, in unspoken support, in the way two people understand each other without needing to speak. And now, Shen Yue's new role, her moment in the spotlight, had revealed it again. Because love, when it's real, doesn't need words. It doesn't need announcements or proof. It simply shows itself. The internet reacted, as it always does. Fans speculated. Replays of Dylan's interviews surfaced. Every subtle expression, every reaction, was dissected frame by frame. "There it is," one fan wrote. "See how his eyes follow her every move?" Another commented, "You can't fake this kind of love. He's completely captivated." Even casual observers, those who weren't dedicated followers, could feel it, the quiet devotion that radiated from him. It was magnetic, irresistible, authentic. Meanwhile, Dylan remained unaware of the attention he was garnering. He wasn't performing for the cameras. He wasn't trying to prove a point. He was simply being himself. And that authenticity, that raw, unfiltered emotion, was what captured the hearts of everyone watching. Shen Yue, meanwhile, was busy with her preparations. The role demanded everything from her: emotion, focus, stamina. Yet she couldn't ignore the comfort of knowing someone believed in her. Someone who was silently rooting for her through every step of the journey. It was in Dylan Wang's unwavering gaze, in the moments when he seemed to look at her and only her, that she found reassurance. Not from the applause, not from the critics, not from the awards, but from him. It's fascinating, isn't it? How the eyes can speak volumes. One look can reveal what years of words cannot. One glance can carry pride, affection, protection, and admiration all at once. And for Dylan Wang, that glance had done exactly that. It said, without words, "I see you. I'm proud of you. I will always be here for you." The days following the announcement were filled with speculation. The media jumped on every interaction, every subtle expression, trying to frame a narrative. But the narrative wasn't theirs to create. It belonged only to Dylan and Shen Yue. They didn't need validation. They didn't need to explain. Because their connection was real. And real love, as they were proving, doesn't require an audience. Fans, of course, documented every moment. The way Dylan's shoulders shifted when she mentioned the role. The tiny smile that flickered when she spoke of her excitement. The way his attention never wavered, even when the conversation moved to others. It was in the details, the smallest, most human details. And soon it became a phenomenon. Dylan Wang's eyes gave him away. Was trending not for scandal, not for gossip, but for admiration. People weren't talking about drama or controversy. They were talking about something rarer. A love so quietly powerful, so steadfast, that it could be felt without words. Shen Yue herself eventually acknowledged it, indirectly, in a quiet post. A simple photograph, a candid moment from rehearsals, captioned only with a small heart emoji. It was enough, because Dylan Wang saw it. And in that glance, he saw the woman he had always admired, always cared for, always loved. This story, this reaction, is a reminder that love isn't always grandiose. It doesn't always need declarations or public gestures. Sometimes love is quiet, present in glances, in reactions, in subtle acknowledgments that others might overlook. And when it's real, those who are meant to see it will. For Dylan Wang and Shen Yue, it was never about proving anything to anyone. It was about noticing the little victories, the moments of courage, the triumphs that didn't require applause. It was about being there, without question, without hesitation, without needing to say a single word. And so the world watched, fascinated by something that could not be fabricated. They watched a man whose eyes spoke louder than any headline, a man whose quiet devotion revealed more than words ever could. They watched a love that was gentle yet undeniable, powerful yet tender, public yet personal. And perhaps that's why it resonated so strongly, because we all long to be seen in such a way, to be understood, supported, and admired, without needing to beg for attention, to know beyond doubt that someone is quietly, unwaveringly in your corner. Dylan Wang's reaction to Shen Yue's new role wasn't dramatic. It wasn't flashy. It wasn't for show. It was sincere, unfiltered, real. And in that truth, millions of fans found hope. Hope that love exists. Hope that devotion can be quiet yet undeniable. Hope that admiration and respect can coexist with tenderness and care. Sometimes, it takes only a glance to change everything. One subtle look, one fleeting expression. And suddenly, the world understands what you've known all along. And for Dylan Wang and Shen Yue,